Hey everyone, welcome back to this ongoing series on Melbourne labels, volume 4 today. I hope you enjoy. So yes, I've chosen today to dedicate this fourth episode to one of my favorite labels on the Melbourne scene. I'm talking about Efficient Space. Efficient Space was founded in 2015, so it's about 10 years old now, by Michael Cusick, music fanatic who runs a radio show called Noise in My Head on NTS. I don't know if he still runs it, but that was the base for founding the label, so is my understanding. So he's a very devoted music fan, really with impeccable taste, really incredible body of work that he's created here through Efficient Space. I think it's one of the coolest labels in Melbourne. And if you're from the label, you happen to see this video randomly on YouTube, please know that this is a love letter to my favorite labels in Melbourne, and whatever I showcase here is just records that I absolutely love, and I thank you very much for releasing them. Just want to put that out there for possible reactions. Anyway, Efficient Space doesn't really have a musical direction per se. What I mean is, it releases a lot of different things, from ambient to post-punk to First Nations records, which I'll talk about, fantastic things, to indie pop, some wonderful compilations that are themed. There's a lot of garage rock. There's a lot of different styles. You can say that Efficient Space is the label of blah blah blah. It's just a lot of different things, and that's what makes it really interesting to me. They reissue things that want to be spotlighted again or hard to find in the original format. They release local artists who are, bringing something new to the local Melbourne scene. So I would say with Efficient Space, variety is a spice of life, and I think it's a very worthwhile label to spotlight here. And I've organized records loosely here. I've got 20-ish Efficient Space records, and I'm just going to talk about them a little bit. That's the aim of these videos, is to talk about a label through the prism of my own record collection. There's records I have, there's records I don't have, for space, financial reasons, for, because you can't buy everything. Efficient Space has released a lot of records. I couldn't quantify it right now, but if you go on Discogs, you'll see there's, it's in the hundreds, I think. So I have a few of them, and I love them, and I want to talk about them. The first one I'm going to show you is this wonderful Steve Hite record, Then On the Road by the Beach. I've actually got two Steve Hite records by Efficient Space, but I'll show you this one today. 1983. It's a co-release between Efficient Space and Be With Record, which is a great label out of Manchester, I think. Steve Hite is a top-notch photographer. He took the photos, and if you look inside the booklet there, there's a libretto here of amazing photos by Steve Hite. He was just really an excellent photographer. And he went to Japan and teamed up with a band, 1983, and he's a guitar player. And I classify this as, it's interesting, I classify this as the Durruti Cullen jamming with the Beach Boys, because it's got this kind of it's an instrumental guitar record, very sort of shimmering guitar, very spacey, beautiful, cosmic guitar playing, with this kind of more sort of sunny disposition. I mean, when you look at the cover, it just tells you a lot about what it sounds like. And the Durutti Cullen, Vinnie Riley comes to mind because this is the same time period, 1983. It's about the same. His style is not dissimilar to Vinnie Riley's. It's very kind of minimal, but also very intricate at the same time. There's, he makes use of the pedals really well. And, the Durutti Cullen is normally a bit dour, a bit sad, a bit, melancholy. Because this is just a bit more jolly. So that's why I like to go with the Durutti Cullen meets the Beach Boys. That kind of works for me in this case. There's another really great guitar record from Efficient Space. This is a Spanish dream pop band, shoegaze band called Belver. So this record was originally released in 1990 and was re-released by Efficient Space in 2020. And since they've also released a new album by Belver, which I also have, but I will not show you today. But just to say that they exist. This is a beautiful, slow dive like record. It's all instrumental. It's got this ringing, beautiful, wall of sound kind of guitars. It sounds like the cover, really. Hazy and these again shimmering kind of walls of sound by a Spanish band. The record is called Luz Bell, very highly recommended, beautiful. Here's another reissue from Efficient Space that I find really tremendous personally. And again, this band has now released another record ever since being re-released by Efficient Space. Interesting because, like with Belver, they were just sort of forgotten and then they were revived and then they released another record. And Hydroplane is the same. Hydroplane is an indie pop band from Melbourne. This record came out in 1997. It's similar in ways to UK indie pop. It's kind of, in the sort of, monochrome set, felt. What could we compare this? It's a bit of a Smiths in there as well. A little bit of the Church as well. It's that kind of jangly indie pop. It's a beautiful record actually, and every time I play it, I'm often taken aback. Hydroplane, from 1997, re-released in 2022 by Efficient Space, and a very, very highly recommended record and a very Melbourne record. This is a band from Melbourne through and through. It's got pictures of this is the Forum in Melbourne, for example, one of the main concert venues, Luna Park. There's all these really beautiful vintage shots of Melbourne. Here's a Sydney down-tempo house artist, which was released last year, I think, 2025. And this guy is called Ali Omar. I think he was originally from the UK and then came down to live in Australia, and he died quite a few years ago. And Efficient Space sort of dug back into his catalogue and released this compilation, Hashish Hits, and really, really wonderful, very, down-tempo house, ambient dub a little bit as well. There's a little bit of bits of ambient dub on this. Just a very groovy compilation, as always, mastered by Mikey Young. Who I met once at the Independent Record Fair. Lovely guy, and artwork is by Marius Swerish, who runs Butter Sessions, which is another great label in Melbourne. Beautiful record, just really trippy, dancey kind of, just a lovely record. Here's another reissue that I picked up last year, which I really quite like. They also do some 7-inches. This is Dennis Hart, Summer's Over. I believe this is a New Yorker from the 1973, he recorded this. It's very much in a sort of yeah, psyche power pop kind of direction. Summer's Over. It's very. Some of it is a little bit dour and melancholy, but most of it is kind of more upbeat as a whole. It's a teenager who just wanted to make a record, and he did this. Completely forgotten. Would have never found out about this in a million years if it wasn't for Efficient Space. Yeah, it's just a lovely 4-track single. Almost you could say it's an EP. Re-released in 2025. Originally released in 1973. Here is one of my favorite things from Efficient Space, the wonderful Mega Bass. So this is an artist from Belgium. His name is Pierre Bugeaud, and this is a compilation. It's only 3 tracks that was released 2025. And what's interesting is you would classify this as sort of experimental, ambient, American primitive. It's kind of the Pierre Bugeaud plays with a double neck electric guitar, a Fender amp, and he does a little bit of slide with some beer bottles, which is but the sound is altogether very dreamy, very ambient, sort of again quite melancholy, but he fills the space with this kind of very ambient, minimal American primitive sound. They're like loops of finger picking and of it's just like, even though he plays with a double neck guitar, is the antithesis of Jimmy Page. Basically, is the opposite of a show pony. He just plays some beautiful patterns that are just intricate and just fade into infinity. It's very cosmic music. I love this Efficient Space. Thank you for releasing this. I'm going to talk about some a couple of amazing, some of my favorites from the label, recent releases. Here is this is top notch actually. So I'm going to talk about 2 just really excellent First Nations records. This is Jungi. Jungi is a group of musicians from Arnhem Land, which is like the very top north of Queens, of the Northern Territory, Aboriginal sacred land, really. And this is a series of recordings that was rediscovered. They I can't remember. They're not from. I can't remember the exact date now in my head. This is one of the musicians, and this is in Arnhem Land, obviously. These were rediscovered, all tracks recorded Christmas Hills 1993, 1998, and there's some field recordings there. So it is a series of really groovy and very deep. I think that's the adjective that really reflects this. It's very deep music. It's got a new agey. It's sort of a very new agey, a little bit groovy tinge to it, but it's not cheesy at all. It's really very spiritual, very deep music. Was re-released in 2018, and with a beautiful artwork, obviously, to boot, which just does represent effectively the music in there. But what Jungi from a First Nations tribe called the Yolngu. I don't know how you pronounce this even, Yolngu. And this is one of the most, I think, treasured releases from that label. Which I think it's just gorgeous music. You can put this at any time of the day. It just puts you in a beautiful serene mood. It's a great record. And in my book, even better is this record. To me, this is the crown jewel of Efficient Space. It's my favorite record on this label. It came out in 2023. Kenny Nelson is also from the Northern Territory, also First Nations. And somebody described this as suicide meets Francis Bebe, and I don't disagree with the description. I think there's a very primitive synth backing on this, which really complements the music, because his voice is absolutely, it's incredibly spiritual, incredibly touching. It's very affecting kind of. This guy, obviously, I think he's very deep into music, more than most of us would ever be. I think he feels the music more than he lives in a community center, and he was helped basically because he couldn't really do this himself. He was helped by the people in the community center to put together an album. He composed the tracks, and with the help of the keyboards player, and they put out this record, which is tremendously beautiful in every way. I especially recommend the side B for me, like Lonely Man. It's every song on side B just hits the spot perfectly for me. I just really can't recommend this record enough. It's a deep spiritual voice from the cosmos singing over very primitive keyboards. It's a unique record. It's one of a kind. Kenny Nelson, and the record's called Wilu Raka Kutu. Sorry, my pronunciation is terrible here, but the important thing is that you know about the record, and I've talked about it before. Here is a wonderful. I was going to say Hindustani, but I think it's not a Northern Indian. I think it's a Southern Indian record. It is a Carnatic. Sorry. I completely lost a term in my head for a second. Northern Indian classical music is called Hindustani. Southern Indian classical music is known as Carnatic music. They bear very similar markers, especially when we talk about the idea of raga, the idea of tala. And the instruments are slightly different. These are two musicians, Biravi Raman on violin and loops, and Nantesh Sivaraj on mandingam. So it's like a percussion and violin and loops kind of record. It is just a really, really hypnotic, fantastic record. Syncretic was released last year, 2025, on Efficient Space. If you like anything by Ravi Shankar and the like, Ali Akbar Khan, this would be really in your wheelhouse. Okay, I'm going to continue and possibly finish here. I've got a few records in front of me here. I want to talk about this group here, which I love, Wilson Tanner. This is album 2, and I've got here as well the latest album, Legends. Their first album was released on Growing Bean Records. Wilson Tanner is a duo of Andrew Wilson and John Tanner, obviously. Andrew Wilson has or had a program on Triple R, which is 3RRR, which is one of the radio stations in Melbourne. And as such, he was a kind of a selector or a DJ, and he has a really deep musical taste and knowledge. And I'm going to talk about it in a second. That's what I mentioned him. He goes on the aliases of Andras Fox, Andras, A.R. Wilson. There's lots of different monikers that he plays under. These records are beautiful ambient records, very sort of new agey, very serene. Yeah, again, there's a hint of melancholy in this music. This one, the latest one, Legends, which I really like, was released at Manon Farm Forest Range, South Australia. So just isolate themselves from the world and sort of like compose these tranquil, a bit downtrodden kind of ambient tracks, and it works perfectly early morning or on Sunday morning. It's just beautiful music. Number 2 is also a lovely record, and they both were released on this label 2025, and volume 2 is from 2019. Okay, so I was talking about Andres Fox, and I'm going to talk about compilations. I'm going to finish off this with compilations. Andres Fox compiled this incredible sort of like label defining almost comp. It's called Midnight Spares. There you go, that's the record goes like this. Midnight Spares is a post-punk what would you say? Post-punk, a little bit of new wave, but like very under the radar new wave, with bands like What Do You Want, which is the band with the guys from SN Airport, Sedation. You've got the Ignites, Mumbo Jumbo. So these are bands that are just really super under the radar. Were released like in 1 or 2 singles, or they might have released one album and a couple of singles, or just a single. Yeah, wonderful compilation. And Andres and Instant Peterson, DJs at 3RRR FM. Not just, you got 2XX FM as well. And there's a thank to Guy Blackman, who's the guy who runs another fantastic label I'll talk about soon, which is Chapter Music. So post-punk, excellent post-punk compilation, and they released a follow-up, 3am Spares, so Midnight Spares and 3am Spares. This one is a compilation of, I don't know if you'll see this because it's very, anyway, it says here, it's difficult to say, it says Australian electronic dance music. So here we've got dance, techno, house, early kind of club music. It's this was released in 2018 by the same 2 guys, Andres and Instant Peterson. Very highly recommended as well. 3am Spares, beautiful kind of follow-up in a very different genre of music. Another incredible post-punk comp is Oz Echoes. There you go. This was released, this is 1989 DIY cassettes and archives from 2021. This just is a bunch of really super under the radar acts from the local scene who just never got their moment really, but Australian DIY cassettes, demos, abandoned studio projects, unsung heroes, big time. Beautiful, like post-punk, ambient DIY compilation, really excellent. I highly recommend. Here is a tremendous compilation, Someone Like Me, compiled by Mikey Young, Mr. Mikey Young from Eddie Curran Suppression Ring, who has excellent tastes. Very diverse compilation, which gathers a lot of, there's a lot of different styles of music from, there's a bit of folk, a bit of, 70s rock. There's a lot of different things going on in there. Singer-songwriter stuff. It really is varied, but it's themed by the idea of, Mikey Young loves, he has a very broad and interesting taste, and he wants to share it with the rest of us. And I think yeah, it's a beautiful record, and the artwork inside the artworks are fantastic. Yeah. And there's extensive notes about each of these records, which are totally like. There's not one of these artists that you would know, and that's what's great about this. And you know, when people bring you things that you had no idea to the fore, it's really cool. Another great comp, I've got two more to go. Another great comp here is this Searchlight Moonbeams, which was released in 2023. And again, a lot of this stuff is totally under the radar. There's a track by this group that I was talking about before, Beravi Rahman, and that's the record that I showed you just a few minutes ago. Slap Happy, who is a sort of a art rock band linked to Art Bears, and you know, sort of a rock in a position. There's a few things that are a bit more known, but overall it's a compilation of very diverse music from. It's really great because like it starts with "There's no one around to hear it," which is like a downtrodden kind of folky kind of song, and it follows up with "Rainwater" by Chen Mingyang, which is you know, is this ambient track with Chinese kind of sounds, and then it goes into an I was going to say Hindustani Carnatic kind of tune. So it just shows you that, you know, this will take you in all sorts of different directions. I can't even give you a direction for that compilation. It's just good music. And the last one, another key release from that label, is Sky Girl. This is spotlighting a lot of women singers, but not just. I mean, it's not. It's got notably, it's got Cold Cafe by Karen Marks. It's like one of these like absolute essential post-punk tracks from the Melbourne scene. Linda Smith, amazing. So I like Spring. Linda Smith is again someone who's very much on the outer. She's her albums have been reissued. Actually, it's very good. And then you've got, you know, Joe Tassini and Friends, Wild Dream, which is also kind of known in a way, and Nini Raviolette, you know, and there's some stuff that is not totally buried, but there's other things which just, you know, that's the only place you would hear them is on these comps. This is compiled by Julien Dechery and DJ Sunday, came out in 2016. Is a top-notch compilation. The hype sticker says a sentimental journey through folk pop, new wave, and art music micro presses. So again, it's very hard to actually describe. You know, Ozwave, you know, Italian American go getter Joe Tassini, Proto Sarah Records, Dream Pop. You know, you've got a lot of very different things going on. So it's difficult to actually tell you. It's like with the Mikey Young compilation. It's like with this. You can't really give it a sonic direction. It's just good music from all sorts of places. Anyway, I'm going to stop here. I hope you enjoyed this installment, and I will continue. And the next one, I think, will be dedicated, I think, to Ramble Records, which I love too. But in the meantime, take care. And if you have a minute, leave some comments. Thank you.